Good day. Welcome to Victory Scope. I am Janie Deadweiler, the founder and CEO of Angels in Distress Incorporated, transition from domestic violence, also the CEO of Victory Coaching, victorious intervention, carefully training on restoring yourself. Yes. Thank you for joining me, QG20. I want to talk tonight about whether or not you have evidence of what you've been doing. And this is in the area of ministry. And we're going to share about how good seeds will bring forth a harvest. Otherwise, nothing will be shown. And then there are times when seeds are sown, but you don't see the harvest right away. Unfortunately, though, I saw something a week ago that really disturbed my spirit because it was regarding a church. And the teachings that occurred some 56 years ago. Thanks for joining. Teachings that occurred over 56 years ago, nothing has changed. And unfortunately, hello, Murat. I don't want to mispronounce your name there, but thank you for joining. And unfortunately, what we saw was that nothing had changed. The delivery was the same. Murat, okay. Thank you for joining me. The message was the same. Hi. And not only that, here it is 56 years later, and you don't have 56 people I'm in Georgia. You don't have 56 people to even account for those 56 years of supposed ministry. And that's really sad commentary. And one thing that I found out that happened when we were young is that people used the pulpit to, as the young people say today, give shade. And that is not where that information should be addressed. However, I thought about this in the terms of people who were coming looking for healing. Say, for instance, child molestation, sexual abuse, domestic abuse, verbal abuse, mental abuse, psychological abuse. And they're coming to the church looking for an answer. And what happens is that we find that their needs are not being met because they're not being addressed, because all of this other rhetoric and distraction is going on. But I thought about, for me, if I had 56 years of doing something and I could not really show any evidence of what I had been doing or trying to do, that would be rather disheartening. Or it meant that something drastically needed to change. And personally, for me, I feel like something drastically needs to change. Because, thank you for joining Ted's 54322, that if you are in ministry and you're supposed to be helping people, then you should have something to show for it. Some type of stats, some type of evidence that what you're doing is making an impact. Because in the world of nonprofit, that's exactly, what the government looks for, or anyone in the community looks for. What are your numbers? No. The question came up as to whether or not people would come back. I don't think so. Because if you're trying to be healed or you're trying to grow and you're trying to be better, then the first rule is to change your environment and put yourself around some people who can help you grow upward, not down, and definitely not backwards. So we don't want to do that. And I'm wondering how many religious facilities are out here that do not have any numbers to show for what they have been doing. Because I would think that if you've been preaching for 56 years and you've been bringing ministry for 56 years, there should at least be one for those years. And it was not, and that was just very, very disturbing for me as an advocate that generally may suggest some type of religious affiliation to gain some help. So that was very disturbing. But there are also times when they call it old school, doesn't want to change. And change is inevitable. It's going to happen. And if you don't change, sometimes with it, you're going to be left behind. However, there are times when, thank you for joining Big Dog Room, there are times when you need to change for the betterment of all. Not because you don't like it or because that's not the way it was done back in your day. Well, back in your day, things have changed, and we really need to understand that there are times when we need to move with the times. I think about when I started church back in the day, there were some things that I disagreed with because of some things that was happening and the message that was coming, that there was absolutely nothing that you could do that was fun. Skating, a football game, a basketball game, a baseball game, the movies, everything was sinful. And I thought that cannot be true. And of course I learned otherwise, that that is not true. That you can have fun, lots of fun, and be in good character for your soul. But that's my take on what do you have to show about what you've been doing. Thanks for joining, Baruz. And there are people who are out here seeking a place of refuge to come to get spiritual healing. And if you are not here providing those services, to help people gain that insight, gain that knowledge, and more importantly, gain resources to help them heal, then what are you there for? Because if you're preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ, he was about healing, he was about restoring, he was about changing, he was about transformation, he was about renewing. Thank you for joining. Navia, Apostle, thank you. So if you are not showing any numbers in your ministry after a very long time of supposed preaching, shalom, then what's the point? You need to take a look at yourself. You really need to take a look at yourself. Because as an instructor, thank you for the hearts. As an instructor myself, I'm constantly looking for feedback on how I can improve the delivery of the material that I am introducing to an audience. And you also have to understand that the people who are in your audience learn differently on different levels. Ministry is the same way. There is no blanket way that you can introduce, shall we say, principles in a blanket form, because you have people who are in different areas of their walk with God. It's just like when I talk to people who are in abusive relationships, and my very first place to bring them to an understanding of is that it's their spirit man that's been damaged. And you have to heal from the inside out. Your spirit man is your core. And until your spirit man is restored, thank you for inviting your followers, Apostle. It is important that you have something for these people to hold on to. It's very important. And not only that, if you are preaching the gospel and saying that God can do these things, Jesus can do these things, then you need to have some proof in the pudding. Thank you for joining, Catherine. Thank you for joining. You have to understand that people are looking and needing results. They are looking for and they need results. So we have to understand how important it is. Thank you for the heart. How important it is for us, if we know, for us to share it. We need to share it. I find it very disturbing that you have someone who may be broken, someone who may be hurt in an abusive relationship or whatever it may be, come into a local church. Thank you for joining, D Love Stars. And they leave with nothing, absolutely nothing. So for me, as an advocate, for me, thank you for joining, Lady Bailey. For me, someone who advocates, I need to bring some type of results to the people who seek me out for help. How do I hold myself in accountability if I can't say, well, I was able to give this service to X number of people, or I know this person is better today because of what we discussed and what we learned together, to help them learn together. We have so many people who are out here that are damaging people who are already damaged. And you know what? They're doing it from the pulpit. And that's very frustrating. Very frustrating for me. There is one place where you have, thank you for joining, Lady Bailey. Hello. There is one place collectively and always a gathering of many bodies is on Sunday morning. No matter how separatist it is, but that's where the people are, in churches on Sunday morning. And I would like to think that hurt people do hurt people. I would like to think that if they're coming to the house of God, which is supposed to be a house of healing, that calls are coming and now the phone hasn't rang all night. Yes, it is. That you have people who are coming into the house looking for healing and an answer, and you can't give one, but you can throw shade from the pulpit. That's idiotic and ignorant. And I don't want to choose any better words. Thank you for the hearts. I remember when God gave me angels in distress, I kept hearing, whatever you do, don't damage the ministry. Whatever you do, don't damage the ministry. Thank you for joining Rusgard's tweet. Because you're going to be responsible for those people whom you did not reach out to and contact. You know how I am about that hypocristian thing. Yes, not a hypocrite. You're a hypocristian. Talking out of the side of your neck with a Vaseline tongue. But don't let me get on that rant. But anyway, I just want to state that we have to understand that it is very important. It's very important